Hello and welcome, Reds, to Anfield Index. I'm your host, Jack McIndoe, and I'm joined by Lewis Aspinall on tonight's episode. Lewis, how are you, mate? Hope you're well.
Yeah, you too. I mean, it's and he's gone. Jack is gone. But look, I don't know, man. It's been a weird. I think for everyone, it's been a very surreal week, so to speak. We've been very. This is the first time that we've been in this kind of situation whereby. There we go. You're right. Sorry. No, don't be daft. It's fine, man. This, do you know what? Beginners, you mean to go on? No, it's been a surreal week. This hasn't happened before. Certainly not in my lifetime, anyway. It's been a really strange. I'm not going to say difficult week. It has been obviously emotional for everyone, but it's been strange. It's been the most eerie, surreal week I can recall as a Liverpool fan. On a summer window which has been so high and everything's been so up, and it's been an incredible few weeks, and then all of a sudden you brought straight back down to earth in the most horrific way possible. So yeah, I'm fine. I mean, how have you been this past 7 days, 6 days?
First time I've spoken on Anfield Index. Obviously I haven't spoken on my channel as well, and obviously, I do apologise for the cut out there, chat. I was going to say as well, thoughts and prayers go to obviously Diogo's family and obviously Andre's family as well at this difficult moment in time. Obviously, me and Lewis will give our tribute at the start of tonight's show, our favourite Jota moments as well. But yeah, thoughts and prayers from everyone, and obviously Dave and a lot of the contributors have already added their piece anyway this week in terms of their favourite Jota moments, and just moments that Diogo Jota has given to every single Liverpool fan, to all of us, Lewis as well. We'll speak about that tonight as well, Reds. And it is a difficult moment, but of course, Liverpool, we've gone through difficult moments together. A fantastic tribute from LFC TV last night. I think the majority of Liverpool fans out there have seen it, obviously, from everyone involved in that production as well. Spot on. But yeah, it's Liverpool. It's a difficult moment now, but you'll never walk alone. It's never been so true as it was spoken about.
No, look, it's. I think what Jack's saying, it's perfectly. It translates to. It's not just us. It's not just Jota. It's not just everything that's gone on. It's been a very. I was just saying then, like Jack, like it's such a. You'll never walk alone's a very. People associate it with us, and rightfully so. But the outpouring, I think, of emotion and reach from rival fans, rival clubs, not even just other clubs and other fans and just everyone. It's the fact that this horrific thing has occurred, and it brings everyone closer. You'll get the odd knobhead on Twitter or something who's like, giving their piece and just whatever. But the fact that this has brought it's not even just been the Premier League, it's been the whole of Europe. It's been every club, it's every person, everyone, even people who don't follow football and support football. There's been a connection between everyone, and I think if Jota was still here, and obviously, I think he'd be over the moon with how what's happened to him has brought everyone together, and has sort of, in a world nowadays where it feels like there's so much stuff going on, and there's conflict and violence and heartache and drama, and this seems to have brought everyone together, and it's a nice thing to see, and a positive way of looking at something which has been a horrific situation that, like I said, in my lifetime, this has never... Obviously, legends have died in my lifetime, but this is the first... I think this is the first time any Premier League player has passed while being at a Premier... it's insane. And, yeah, the outpouring of emotion from everyone's been incredible.
Yeah, and do apologise, chat. Anyway, StreamYards tonight having a couple of technical difficulties as well. So, but yeah, Lewis and Reds, let us know your favourite Diogo Jota moments as well. And as we have been through many difficult moments, and most importantly as a city as well, Liverpool fans, Everton fans will have come together in the city's history as well, and will continue to do so, and look after one another, and most importantly, look after the families of Diogo and Andre. It's extremely difficult. And of course, we'll be speaking about sport, Liverpool news tonight as well, and obviously speaking on Premier League. But yeah, the most important thing, like for all of us, as everyone said, is we'll look after Diogo's family, most importantly, as we always will do, and will continue to do so. And his legacy will live on, Lou, as you alluded to, mate. One, it's obviously he had 2 years left remaining on his contract as well, but even still, I'm just made up from for me personally, mate. I'll obviously get your favourite moments on Diogo as well, mate. I've been doing watch-alongs on YouTube, and especially in a period of obviously the global pandemic. Everyone went through difficulties, everyone in the world. But I think for me, my own personal opinion, he gave me a lot of joy. And to every Liverpool fan, we were enclosed by all four walls. We weren't allowed to go out. But the little moments for me personally was just watching him score the goals. And it's we've got those moments, and we will continue to have those moments for the next 100, 200 years. Diogo has played for this football club. The current players, the past players as well, that are still with us as well. That's the beauty of being able to play for Liverpool. We're a very special institution. And what would be your favourite Diogo Jota moments for you, mate, in his history?
God, there's I mean, I long forgot. I mean, look, Diogo Jota is someone who I think he's hampered by the fact that he was surrounded by the likes of Salah and Mane and Firmino, and these players that have sort of made history of us and set such a high standard. I think if Diogo Jota was in the age of the Fernando Torres or the Luis Suarez, he'd be regarded as easily one of the best strikers in Premier League history. He still can be. He's absolutely top level. The moments he gave us, he scored our first goal back at Anfield, I think, when we came back from lockdown. That was against Burnley. He got that goal. I think my favourite, it's the Atalanta hat-trick. There's other moments which I'm not going to say because it might spoil one of yours, but I think that hat-trick is the moment where Jota stood up and really made everyone take notice. He'd been getting goals in the Premier League. He'd scored against Wolves. He'd scored against Leicester. But that was against a top-level opposition who in a few years down the road would go on to win European silverware. They kicked our arse. And he went there and he scored such an amazing hat-trick. He chipped over the keeper. He brought it down on his left and smashed it with his right. He went round the keeper and slotted it out. He was such a talented player. And that was a game which really sort of established that he's not there to do a Divock Origi and be the backup to Firmino and Salah and Mane. He's there to compete with them. And that hat-trick, we've scored 5 Champions League hat-tricks in our history. Owen, Benayoun, Coutinho and Mane have all got one. Jota's got the 5th and Jota's got the best. He was top level in that game, and I adore that moment so much at a time where we, like you said, we were stuck at home. We were stuck in our houses. We couldn't do anything. We just had football to watch, and even then there was no fans. It felt wrong. And he still gave us a European magical moment that will live forever. So I think that hat-trick against Atalanta is easily number 1 for me.
What was your other one? Say some more if it was around.
Yeah. I mean, we've got Arsenal League Cup, the semi-final. We've got Tottenham, the 94th minute winner, the brace against Leicester, the penalty against Leicester where he went and celebrated with the fans, the goal against Wolves. There's just moment after moment. And he doesn't get enough credit, Jota. And I'm one of the people who I did not give him enough credit, and it truly is a case of you don't know what you had until it's gone. Jota is one of those players who didn't matter who you were playing, didn't matter how big the opponent was in stature, if it was at the Etihad, if it was against Madrid, if it was against Arsenal, he would go there and he would contribute. He made things happen. He scored at the Etihad in that 2-2 draw. He was a terrific finisher, and Jamie Carragher said it himself, didn't he? He considered him the best finisher in Liverpool's recent history, ahead of Suarez and stuff. And whether you think that's true or not, he's in the conversation, and he's just, I think he's an underappreciated player in the history of the Premier League. And if obviously what's happened has made people sort of aware from outside looking in, we've known how good he is. He was a top level player who no one expected to be as good as he was, I don't think.
Yeah, I love him, mate, and obviously some amazing moments that we'll cherish for the lifetime within the walls of Anfield. And my favourite one, you alluded to one of them, but mainly that game against Leicester at Anfield. It antipied really his character, his wine.
Yeah.
The one thing I loved about Jota was just how he wound up everyone.
Yeah.
Like he's the type of player that if he played for another team, he's got a bit of him and Andy Robbo quite similar in terms that they play for Liverpool. So I personally, I think that's like one of the good things that I love about football as well. Sometimes those characters, but you need them to be a successful football club. And I think Jota he played with an edge about him as well, that he wanted to, any way of winning a game of football, he'd always find a way, whether it be on his left boot, on his right boot, winding up a centre half where he just shoves him and just like get out your way. He was about 5'10", 5'8", or he wasn't the tallest, but physically wise,
no,
he could deal with like 6'4", 6'5" strikers, defenders, sorry, and it's. Yeah, I just love that about him, mate. The way he just wound up many players, and obviously reading through like we all have with obviously the tributes, but on the current players and the former players as well that he's played alongside. The most important thing is he was an amazing human being and a very special character as well. That's for me that really come through as well. Lewis most important. He was an amazing human being, and I think that's it. In the world of football now, I think me, you, and every Liverpool fan, and just football fans in general, they are the modern day. Like you see them on telly, but sometimes you had the privilege of going the ground and that. But yeah, these lads and Diogo did mean a lot, and will continue to mean a lot for me, to you, and every Liverpool fan, mate, Ronnie.
No, he's in our history books. Number 20 needs to be retired. It needs to be. He needs his memorial. He needs his mural. He needs all of it. And I think, like you said perfectly, as a personality, he was so humble. Everyone said he was just a family man. He was to himself. He was a very calm person until you got him on the pitch, and then he was just. It was like a switch went. But you know what? As well, like. You touch on the fact before about his height and said he's like 5'8", 5'9", whatever he was. I cannot recall many better headers of a ball in a Liverpool shirt. We've had Heskey, we've had Crouch, we've had Karl-Heinz Rieder, we've had Suarez. Like, we've had this plethora of attacking players who are terrific in the air. Some players brought in specifically for that, Crouch being obviously the main one. Jota is probably better than them all. He was a freak of nature when it comes to his ability in the air. And he came up in the big moments, and it feels like everything he did was so storybooked. He scores against Wolves in his first match going back to the Molineux after moving to us. He helps us win number 20 when he signed in 2020, and he is number 20. Everything about him just feels so perfectly put together and perfectly storybooked. And Jota is just, he's an icon. And I'll be the first to admit, I was one of the people who I was saying going into the summer, maybe we could sell him, maybe he's getting on. And I think that's just the case again of you don't know what you've got until it's gone. Because looking back, we've just bear witness for the past 5 years to one of the best attackers in Liverpool's history. Like, not just the Premier League. And there'll be people saying that it's being blown out of proportion because of everything. It's really not. He's given us some of the biggest moments in our recent history and some of the biggest moments in our... That win against Tottenham, that last-minute goal can compete against the Newcastle goal from 95. There's key moments in Liverpool's Premier League history that you remember forever. And Jota, in that moment, the celebration, the fact that Klopp basically tore his arsehole by running to the fourth official and screaming at him. You had everything. Richarlison with the shirt off and the shirt back on. it was perfect. And Jota has given us some of those terrific moments that will last forever and we will always remember. So, rest in peace to him and his brother. He will always be remembered at this club, and rightfully so because of what he contributed.
100%, mate. And obviously, there's been great tributes as well. And we will, as we announced in our social media accounts today as well. And if you've been watching or listening Anfield Index over the last couple of days as well, we are starting to get back to the usual scheduling as well. But that by no means does that mean we'll ever forget Diogo. And if you are watching or listening now and you've seen a notification, you don't feel it's the right time for you personally as a fan to listen, don't. Take your time. Me, Lewis, and everyone within the Liverpool family and community across all social media platforms and Reds going to ground, going away ends and everything. We'll be here for you as well. And you'll never walk alone, Diogo and Andre. And it's difficult, but yeah. And obviously there was just before we come on air as well. There's obviously the tributes as well. Have been absolutely amazing, and there will continue to be tributes across the Premier League and across European football as well. But yeah, Reds, you never walk alone, Diogo. I'm sure they'll be winning. And as I mentioned on my notes as well, I think obviously going into this season, for me personally, and the way I'm analysing this, Lewis, as well, I think going into the next couple of weeks, they are going to be extremely difficult. But I think the type of character Diogo is, and certainly his legacy, going into this season, he was a player that, as we already said, he played on the edge in a good way. And I think his type of personality, he'll be wanting to go into this season in full throttle as well, in terms of he want this Liverpool team to try and give it all, but at the right time and the right moments as well. We will continue to go forward into the new season as well.
Yeah, we will. Look, to everyone watching, it's been a horrific week, and I think that moving forward now, there's so much stuff going on, and there's going to be talk of transfers and players leaving and players joining. The one thing that I don't think Diogo would want is, I don't think that he would want this to have a detrimental effect on things going forward. And that's not me saying, dismiss it. Not in the slightest. I think Jota would look at this and think, I want the lads to use this as motivation. I want them to do this in remembrance of me and push on with it. Because he was that type of character. He was whenever you saw him on the pitch, whenever you heard him in interviews, he was very humble. He was very team orientated, very people person. I think he would look at this and say, I want you to use this as your driving force. And we will move forward. That's just the fact of life. It always happens. Everyone moves on. Everyone moves forward. It's how you remember things. And we've seen loss before. We know we have. I'm not going to mention certain events, but we remember them in the right way. We pay tribute. There's homage to them around Anfield. We've seen countless times where we've shown true class as a fan base and as a club with regards to these situations. It's how we honour Diogo Jota going forward. Do we let it be a thing which is completely deflating and has an effect on the campaign going forward, and we just sort of pack it in? Or do we honour him by giving 110%, by singing his song every match, by discussing him every match, by cheering on the group who adored the man so much? And rather than it being a glum atmosphere, and of course it has every right to be, this could be our chance to remember him properly by making every match at Anfield and every match away as emotionally impactful as possible. Jota will be remembered. He will always be remembered. It's our job now to encourage everyone and to give everyone that boost. It's not, football is minuscule in comparison to everything that's gone on. But our responsibility as a fan base is to encourage and to show love to the people who are on that pitch and in this team, to say to them that Jota would not want you to give up. This isn't even about us. This isn't even for a fan base to win stuff. This is just, he would want this to be a driving force because he was that type of person. And I just, it's a really weird situation. But yeah, I just think that we're going to move forward and we're going to do it in a really positive way. And that's exactly what he would want, and to be remembered properly.
Yeah, 100%, mate. 100%. And obviously, as we said at the beginning of the show, and every Liverpool contributor across all the social media platforms, and Liverpool as a family as well, fans around the world, with Diogo's family, send out thoughts and prayers. And yeah, you never walk alone, everyone. So I do apologise. I do keep on getting boosted from StreamYard here, chat. I do apologise, some technical issues. But obviously we'll move on into obviously a little bit of the Liverpool news anyway, and then we'll go into obviously the bit of quite a fair bit of the Premier League news, transfer news, and obviously the wider European world of football as well. But just bear with me 1 second here, chat. I'll just share this. So firstly, we'll start, Lewis, in regards to Darwin Nunez. Over the last couple of 24 hours, 48 hours.
Yeah, round about then.
Yeah, we've knew this interest from Napoli. It's been bubbling over the last couple of weeks, really, in regards to this. 43 million, as I can see here from obviously from Damasio. Napoli have tabled a 43 million plus £4 million offer for Darwin Nunez. I personally don't think at this moment in time, as a recording, or if you listen to the podcast as well, there's been no notification in terms of an accepted bid anyway. For me, this seems. Do you think this? It's quite low, but is it the right in terms of valuation? I don't think Liverpool could get any more. Do you feel about this?
Not particularly. Look, I was very, and I know this sounds selfish and this sounds a bit. I wanted Saudi to come in for Nunez, and that's not a case of because I want Nunez to thrive. I think if Nunez went somewhere, like if you went to a La Liga, or if you went to a Bundesliga, or if you went to any of these clubs or any of these leagues, I think Nunez has the potential to smash it. If he goes to a La Liga or a Bundesliga or anything like that, there is such an opportunity for him to go out there and absolutely rip the league apart because he does have an interesting skill set. He is capable of running in behind. He can finish. He just has those moments. I wanted Saudi to come in because I thought they will splash the cash more than any club will. And we heard rumours of 70 million, 75 at 1.65. That's Saudi money. Napoli are not daft. They know that Darwin Nunez is a good player, but there is fault there. There is a few moments where you can look at him and pinpoint you're not quite to the top level. And he's not good enough for us at the moment. It's a weird thing to be discussing, I think, at the current time, but he's someone who I think if he went to a La Liga or a Serie A, he would smash it. Napoli under Antonio Conte are not going to be foolish enough to say, right, £60 million, let's just get him in. They're going to haggle. They're going to try to because they can see the weaknesses. This was what I was expecting a bid-wise. I'm not expecting us to get 50 mil. And those 4 million plus are going to be add-ons, which God knows what they are. Is it win the league? Is it score a certain amount of goals? Not a clue. But yeah, this is round about what I was considering taking because I can't see any team in Europe really giving us much more, and Nunez doesn't want to go to Saudi. So at this point, our hands are tied.
Yeah, and obviously we'll speak about the Saudi Pro League and especially Galatasaray. You've got a bit on Osimhen this evening as well, but I concur with you there, Lou, in regards to that. I think Liverpool are very hard stretched in terms of bringing in a lot more than that, really. I think Liverpool's probably valuation, as you've alluded to, maybe in and around 50 odd million, but as we said, it's a difficult moment to speak about it, but I think in terms of it will be the deal in and around that. Yeah. But it's what Liverpool. It's a situation we found. Liverpool, if we're gonna sell them, it needs to be at our valuation, and most importantly, if Liverpool are actively going out and getting other forwards or any players coming to Liverpool over the next couple of weeks as well. It's got to be at the right valuation for both Liverpool and certain other players as well. The final one as well in terms of Luis Diaz, Lewis, in terms of Luis Diaz is about this is coming from Papi Sierra as well. In regards to this, over the last 24 hours, Luis Diaz will tell Liverpool's management to either renew his contract or let me leave. Believe they have an offer from Bayern Munich and FC Barcelona. He wants to stay, as we've seen over the last couple of weeks as well. 2 years left on his deal. Reports over the last couple of weeks as well. Liverpool don't want to sell Luis Diaz, but if he's asking to, but it's a lot of speculation. It's who to believe or whatever as well, mate. Me personally, I look at this, and even a couple of weeks prior, I spoke to Dave on obviously the positional play as well. I personally, from a football point of view, I don't see any issue in terms of keeping Luis Diaz. I think obviously Arne Slot would want to go out and get a more naturally gifted finisher in terms of like an Isaac or whoever, Simon Ilk or Ekatike. But I think in terms of squad wise, when I analyse this race, I think he complements Liverpool really well. He's a very good player as well, mate. 28. He's got 2 years left. Obviously, and I wouldn't be against giving Luis Diaz a new contract. But that's my own personal opinion, mate. But obviously, with the speculation at the minute, Lewis, what do you make of those the reports as well in regards to Luis Diaz?
Well, I don't know. I mean, what did you make of the interview thing that he did, where he was like, "Oh, I'm happy. I'm not pushing for it, but there is." He said something on camera. I didn't quite catch it, but he was saying something like, "I'm not pushing for a move, but we are in negotiations with clubs, but I'm happy to stay at Liverpool," or something along those lines. Now, I understand that footballers have careers, and that if he wants to go, he can't be sat around waiting. If he's got Barcelona coming in, that's his dream move, or Bayern, then so be it. I've spent a long time being in the belief that if Diaz was to leave, I wouldn't be overly upset. Just because he comes in purple patches. He had a terrific start to the season. He dipped off for about a third to a half of it, and then he's come back at the end and he's absolutely smashed it. But I think you're right. Like, at the moment, we're so fortunate that we've got two of the best left backs in Europe, not just the league. And I think we've got other positions on the pitch. We've got centre back, CDM, maybe need another right winger, definitely striker. Do we really need to be making problems and having to go out and sign a left winger as well? I'd happily give Diaz the contract if if you give him another 2-3 year deal. We're not going to keep him around for that long, so you're going to sell him. You're going to get a fee for him. If that's what the club don't want to miss out on, then absolutely fine, you'll get that. I just don't really. It's such a weird situation because he's been so quiet for so long, and then all of a sudden in the past few days, he's suddenly becoming vocal and being like, "Oh, I wouldn't mind leaving. Give me a contract or let me go." And I'm confused by the timing. I'm confused by the situation. I'd happily keep Diaz, but he's going down the route of burning bridges to make this move happen. And I think if he does that, Slot's not going to tolerate it because he doesn't take full Slot. If he doesn't get on with you, if he doesn't agree with you being in his team, you will be gone. And I think Diaz, he's a class player. Don't get me wrong, he was one of the best wingers. He was our second highest scorer last season, I believe it was. He had that brilliant purple patch towards the end where he scored 4 goals in 5 matches. He had 1 on the bench against Chelsea, and before that he got 3 assists start of the season. He picked up 5 goals in 5 matches. He's a very talented player. I'm just, don't force him out. But if he wants to leave, fine. That I'm not going to lose sleep over it.
Yeah, I don't care, mate. It's difficult at the minute, but as I said, I think footballers are still humans at the end of the day, and I think the cameras that are getting put in front of Diaz, for me personally, just let Diaz live his own life, and I think it's for me personally, it is a difficult situation, and as you've said, Diaz, with certain comments over the last couple of weeks, but he's only human at the end of the day, and I think we live in a world where there's cameras absolutely everywhere. Like it does me head in, if I'm being honest. But I can get where Liverpool fans out there might be disappointed with, say, as you alluded to, some of those comments as well. But the main thing is we get behind Diaz and get behind all these players as well. This very difficult moment in time. it might be his way of coping with the situation as well, in terms of
possibly
everyone deals with grief very differently as well. From like it's, and I personally and like all of us as well, mate, you included as well, mate. It's difficult. But the main thing, if Diaz next season leads us on to another league title, I think we'll all be very made up with that. But whatever happens anyway. But Reds, obviously, that was just a little bit on obviously Liverpool news as well. We'll go into obviously the Premier League news now as well. Reds, we'll get to a couple of your comments as well, and let us know your thoughts on that, Reds, if you are watching or listening on the repeats as well. Pick up there, Everest. Big up there, buds. Darwin, as Avo's saying, it just doesn't suit us. Saying about Darwin isn't a bad player, just doesn't suit us. It works out in teams in Europe. And Lou, just quickly touched on that one, mate. I was very.
I mean, look, I'm in agreement. Look, Nunez is not a bad player by far. I can name you 10 worst strikers that we've had in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Nunez is not a bad... You were at StreamYard just being a...
I do apologise, Lou, and to anyone watching. I know Dave's been having issues with StreamYard. Anyone from this StreamYard's getting lobbed out of the window anyway, very, very soon anyway. Yeah. But yeah, continue with what you were saying.
Sorry. No, I was just saying, Nunez is not a bad player, and I could name you 10 worse ones that we've had. I've just seen someone put Varane in. He's definitely one of the 10. He just doesn't suit our style. He's much more of a Jurgen Klopp player than he is an Arne Slot player, and even then under Jurgen Klopp, it just didn't work out. There is a talented player in there. There's a plethora of moments that he's given us, like Forest and Brentford and Newcastle and Madrid and City, and just over and over and over again. But he just doesn't fit the style. And I think if he went to, like I said, La Liga, where it's a lot more, it's based on pace, it's a lot more getting in behind, playing through the lines, I think he'd thrive. If he went to a Bundesliga where, you know, a lot of it, you see players who go over there who maybe aren't the most mobile, but they can do terrific, I think Nunez would tear it apart. He's a great player. He's just not suited to our style. And I think the fact that, obviously what's gone on this past week, the fact that the club are still saying, you know, you can leave, is a damning indictment of where he's viewed in the club's hierarchy at the moment, Nunez. The fact that even though we have obviously everything that's gone on now, he still isn't considered a first team option for us, and they would rather sell him. Like, that says all you need to know, really.
Yeah, 100%, mate. 100%. Red's gone with a couple of the names anyway. But yeah, we've come a very long way, as we said at the top of the show anyway, with some of those names. But we'll head into the next part of tonight's transfer show in regards to the Premier League. Very fastly moving, quickly developing, mate. You've got a couple of great statistics up with some of these players anyway, mate. But I'm interested to see what you mentioned about Barry. We're going to be mentioning Everton's new striker anyway. So we're heading to obviously the first one, obviously Elanga. Over the last 24 hours, it's been more or less confirmed that is 52 million plus 3 million in add-ons deal to Newcastle United. The medical has already been agreed, and it's be stated as Newcastle's first summer signing. Medical needs to be passed, and obviously Callum Wilson has just recently left as well, mate. A very talented player, Lewis, and I think certainly you look at obviously the links over the last couple of weeks with Liverpool wanting, and every Liverpool fan wants Isaac. Can we get that deal over the line? But I think, are they spending the Isaac money, or he's a very talented player, Elanga, mate? And do you think that's a fair deal and a player that can very much propel Newcastle on this season?
I think the game's gone. Look, Elanga's talented. We can't deny that. But how much? 55 million?
Yeah, ridiculous.
Like, Torres was 50 in 2011, and we were like, oh my god, that's never gonna get, like, that's ridiculous. It's Anthony Elanga, man. Like, he's a good player for Forest, and this is Newcastle, who they've got terrific attackers, but there's a striking lack of depth where, you know, you've got Harvey Barnes, Gordon, you've got Jacob Murphy, who had a terrific season last year, but isn't good enough really, and then Isak, and you've just lost Wilson. So they need depth. And Elanga, if as a rotation option, absolutely is top quality. Like, he is a very, very good player for Nottingham Forest. He caused us headaches last season. Obviously, contributed in that defeat at Anfield. But 55 million, like,
madness.
Come on now. I understand the age we're living in where players can fetch ridiculous price tags, but if you're Newcastle, is there no better option? Could you have not got Malik Fofana for a cheaper option? Considering everything that's going on at the moment with Leon, could you have not picked out a Bakayoko maybe from PSV? Maybe it's a certain style. Maybe they want Premier League proven. I don't know, but he's not a bad player. But I just think for 55 million pounds, you need to be getting someone who's. Is it someone top tier? I don't know. I don't know anymore.
Yeah, I personally wouldn't say he's top tiered as well.
No, he's definitely not tier. Neither StreamYard, by the way. StreamYard, you're struggling here today. I'm not going to lie to you. But no, let me know in the comments. Like, does anyone think that Elanga's worth 55 million? Because I'm not. I was just saying StreamYard's not top tier, mate. It's not worth 50 million.
I think StreamYard might be a Forest fan or something. I don't know, or whatever. Elanga's agent, because we're speaking about him anyway. But yeah, I quickly summarise before I get boosted anyway. But yeah, I concur with you, mate. I think the modern market, it's all guns blazing really on there's no real value on players nowadays. Apart from when Liverpool do business in the transfer market and we sign Andy Dobbo basically on a free and certain other players coming in as well. So yeah. So in terms of obviously Arsenal as well, Lewis, in terms of obviously Sporting Lisbon striker Victor Gyökeres, the player's been linked with a move to Arsenal, obviously scoring 97 goals in 2 years in Sporting. Obviously, let's bear in mind 19 of them were penalties, 39 goals. 39 goals as well in the Premier League, not Premier League, in European football.
Yeah.
Thoughts on him, mate? Can he be Arsenal's saviour next season to finish in second again?
I mean, look, if you're talking about numbers, fine. I think he's a very, very good player in that regard. But like you said, how many of them were penalties? 19 were penalties in the end?
I think it was 19 on some of the notes as well. Yeah,
come on now.
Crazy.
So I've got this is his stats based on the last 365 days, and this is across Europe's top 5 competitions, as well as the Champions League, the Europa League, everything. Don't forget he plays in the Portuguese league. Like, in terms of his actual shooting, he's in the top 5% for goals. He gets 0.89 a match, which is absolutely fine. He's in the top 2% for XG, for goals. He's also in the top 6% for his pass completion. Like, he is a good player. He is someone who can pick up the ball and score, but he's also someone who can come deep and create. And I think that's what they wanted with Kai Havertz. They wanted that sort of false 9 who's capable of scoring a goal. They didn't get it. Gyökeres is not a bad player. That just needs to be. We saw what he did at Coventry. He's proven that he's capable of competing on the English landscape. He's someone who clearly has an eye for goal. Even if you take the penalties away, that's more goals than 75, 80, 90% of the Premier League. It is just purely his speed. And like someone said, he turns like an oil tanker. He is someone that you can rely on to pick a pass. You can rely on to have a shot at goal. But he needs to be quick. He needs to move quick. And in terms of his actual progressive play, I'm trying to find this progressive passes received because he's fairly low down in that. If I can find it, that'd be
it's going to be
no, tell a lie.
Yeah, I was going to say, mate, like you've cried out for a striker, I think, and you look at this and you analyse it. If he does come in, Arteta's got no more excuses now. For me personally,
no,
he would have had the striker, he would have had the centre halves, or the many centre halves and defenders. Arteta loves to sign for Arsenal. And obviously last season through Marino up front anyway, and obviously just signed Zupimendi as well. So no more excuse for me. Have you found those stats? No.
Yeah, I mean, this you've got. So in terms of passes received, in terms of progressive passes received, in the top 3%. So he's someone who likes to get in behind. The issue is, he's in the worst 4% for being dispossessed, and he's in the bottom 29% for miscontrols with the ball. So he's great at running in behind. He's great at coming deep and receiving it. He's great at making things happen. He's just, when he's on the ball, he's crap. Can't think of the word, so I'm just going to say crap. He gets tackled, he gets dispossessed. He's not the best on the ball in terms of his ability. It's his actual movement. It's his terms of passing and shooting. He's great. But is that what Arsenal need? Like, the way they play, it feels like they need someone who's capable of running in behind, and I don't know. It doesn't feel like it fits. I don't know if it's they're in panic mode. I don't know, because I know Sesko was being linked, but again, he's just another big target man. I don't know what the plan is. I don't know what the system is. Gyökeres is not a bad player. We've seen that, but it does feel like Arsenal are just in a scramble right now to sign any striker they possibly can. And Gyökeres is the one who, he said no to United. Sesko doesn't seem to be going anywhere. Isak's too expensive. Osimhen's probably going Juventus or maybe Galatasaray again. Shit, let's just get Gyökeres. It's someone. But like you said, there's no excuse, but I guarantee now, if it goes to hell, Arteta will be coming out in a year or two's time going, yeah, we didn't want Gyökeres. He was never our man. There will just be excuse on excuse on excuse. And I just don't see this one working personally, to be honest. Yeah,
it's going to be one of them. Reds, let us know, or just if you're a fan of the Premier League or whatever as well. It looks like, obviously this report as well, with Victor Gyökeres, he's putting up 2 million of his own wages as well to help Arsenal in terms of this, which is ridiculous.
Mate, it's if any player's having to contribute to get their transfer, he does know he's going to Arsenal. Surely, like if you're Gyökeres and you're thinking, I'm going to have to pay 2 million to move here, you do know where you're going. Surely, like, yeah, they've won one trophy since 2019. Like, don't be putting your own money up for that.
Yeah, so 2 million, it's ridiculous anyway, mate. He'll somehow receive that back in the goal bonuses anyway. And anyone's just tuned in and wondering where I keep on disappearing to, it's StreamYard. So I do apologise. An absolute nightmare. Certainly won't be using StreamYard again. We'll be using something else anyway. But yeah, Reds, let us know your thoughts on that. As Avo said there, you can hit the ball anyway. But yeah, yes. Even Jay, how are we, buds? As well. So another Arsenal player that they've been linked with over the last week or so as well. Lewis was obviously Brentford's captain. Looks like that deal might be getting over the line. Arsenal and Brentford exchanged all documents. This comes from Fabrizio today. Over the last week with Christian Norgard, the second part of the medical is also completed. The contract signed and the official statement to follow in the next day or so. Quite old, isn't he now? He's not
31.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. We've seen Granit Xhaka at Arsenal. We've seen obviously him leave Arsenal. I look at this deal and I think it's a very shrewd deal, if I'm being honest. I know we've mentioned, obviously, the numerous defenders Arteta signed, but I think this is a very clever signing. Do I think it will be revolutionary to this Arsenal side? I don't feel so. But I just look and when we've all analysed that Brentford side, he's been alongside Thomas Frank, leading that Brentford side in the Premier League, punching above their weight, might that be said. But when you come into Arsenal, Norgard, I think he's the right character. He's got the right quality as well. He's not the answer to Arsenal, but I personally feel he might be a good step in the right direction for Arsenal. What's your feeling in regards to this deal, Christian Norgard?
I understand why Arsenal fans are a little bit sceptical, I suppose is the right word, because he, like you say, he's 31. He is starting to wind down a little bit. But I think in terms of an actual signing, I think it's a good one. I do think that Christian Norgard is a decent signing for Arsenal. And that's not me taking the piss. That's not me saying it in a sort of, he's old, Arsenal, laugh at them, blah, blah, blah. This is someone who, they've just lost Jorginho. Obviously, all the Thomas Partey stuff's coming out, which we're not even going to touch on. They've got Zubimendi, they've got Marino, and then you've got Declan Rice. Ødegaard's a bit further up top. Norgard is someone who you can bring on and he can be your Wataru Endo, so to speak. He's someone who you can bring on if you need experience and just grind a match out. And in terms of the Premier League last season, this is his defensive stats. He's getting 1.56 interceptions, which is the top 8% in the Premier League last season. He's making 1.66 blocks, which is the top 16%. Passes blocked is in the top 35%. Dribblers tackled, top 13%. He's such a good defensive option to bring on. And I think Arsenal, having lost so many midfielders in such a short space of time, they could go out and sign someone who could develop into the proven product. I think they've sort of done that with Zubimendi a little bit. Or you can bring someone in for a shrewd price who's got Premier League experience, is a leader, is someone who you can grind out games, is capable on the ball, is a good defensive option, and can help bring up the next lads that you bring in. He's a good stopgap option to have. And we've had that in the past with players. We've had that with James Milner when we lost Gerrard. We brought Milner in. He was the sort of, right, we're going to keep you here. Next summer's when we're going to go for the likes of Fabinho and Keita and things like that. He is a proper closer when your game is coming to an end. He's someone who you can grind out a match. And I think that Arsenal fans are jumping the gun because to them it's, oh, well, we want to push for the Premier League. We want to sign young, talented, exciting players. You need these people. You need the Michael Thomases. You need the James Milners. You need the Mark Walters. You need the Steve Finnans. These players who can grind out a match. Gary McAllister, someone's commented, perfect example. 35 years old and he was still ripping up trees for us back when he was in 2000. Norgard's a good signing, and I will not hear the Arsenal fans who are crying and moaning because they haven't gone out and signed Jude Bellingham or Chouameni. It's a good deal.
Yeah, spot on, mate. It's we grew up watching Thierry Henry and the legends as well, and especially it still does me head in the way in which Arsene Wenger was chased out of that football club, and being honest, but that's another show for another podcast anyway. But yeah, Arsenal fans, you'll never make them happy anyway. So moving on from Arsenal, there's been a transfer report over the last 24 hours in regards to the blue side of Merseyside. Barry obviously is travelling to Merseyside as Everton look to complete the move for Villarreal striker. Barry has been on holiday in Miami following his participation in the under-21 Euros with France, but has now been permitted to travel to England to undergo a medical examination. The fee is expected to be the initial 32.5 million euros plus bonuses for the French forward. I'm going to be honest, Lewis, but you've got all the data and the stats as well. It's interesting, especially with the loss of Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Everton.
Yeah. Calvert-Lewin's a weird one. By the way, he's meant to be going United. You're in the bin. Just get a grip of yourselves, United. Fiona Barry is a very... There we go. I dragged out that sentence as long as I could.
As I say, what we all thought, fill everyone in terms of the forward as well, mate. Yeah.
God, this is the me waffling episode. I love it. So, do you know earlier on we touched on Everton? You were like, oh yeah, do you know Everton style of football? They need that big, tall player up top. Yeah. Fiona Barry's 6'5".
Oh wow.
He is a big bastard. He's someone who's going to replace the aerial threat of Calvert-Lewin. I say threat, you know what I mean. But he's a very big lump of a player, but he's also very quick. He is a very fast player up top. In La Liga last season, so this is across La Liga 24-25. Aerially, if I can just find it 1 second, he won 67.3% of his aerial duels last season, which is in the top 2% of La Liga. He won 3.84 a match and lost 1.86, so he's competing for about 6.6 per game. He is a proper target man up top, but he's also someone who, when he gets the ball, he's capable of controlling it. He's capable of slowing play down and progress it on for other players. The only issue you've got with him is his actual passing is pretty poor. So in terms of his overall passes completed, he's in the bottom 4% of La Liga, and this is just across strikers. This isn't across every position. Passes into the final third, he only gets 0.54 per match in the bottom 22%. Progressive passes, 1.05. He's in the bottom 22%. He's just someone who's a big lump up top. But saying that, he went out last season and he scored 11 goals and got 4 assists in 35 matches, which isn't bad, and I think that's an Everton standard player. So he's definitely someone who's going to be a nightmare in the air, like we saw with Beto when we played them at Goodison Park last season. Maybe he's going to be that style, but he feels David Moyes to me. This feels like a David Moyes signing more so than anything.
Yeah, 100%, mate. And do apologise everyone tuning in again. Obviously, the audio listeners, if you're still listening, I got booted. I've been booted about 1,000,000 times anyway in StreamYard. So do apologise, Lewis.
We will sort this. We will sort
it'll
this.
be sorted for the next episode anyway. But I'd agree, mate. Some interesting stats. I think, as chat already alluded to, Beto. Obviously, Everton have drastically improved since David Moyes. Well, it's not like it could have got any worse with the previous managers anyway. I think going back to back and speaking to a couple of my Everton mates, they've been over the moon as well. But I think it will be interesting, Lewis, in chat. I think in terms of with Barry coming in.
Look, Everton now are in a position whereby they need depth up top. Calvert-Lewin, losing him, I think it's a weird one. It makes sense losing Calvert-Lewin. It does, because he's been poor for a good few seasons. We haven't really seen a good quality Calvert-Lewin since Ancelotti, maybe. So I understand the logic of getting rid of him. And Lukaku, I think if you're looking...
Yeah.
What was that, sorry?
Was it Lukaku as well in his Everton days? I do apologise. I've missed the last 10 seconds of what you said.
I was saying Calvert-Lewin. Like it makes sense for him to. It does make sense for him to leave now. I just think Everton, the way that Moyes operates, they just need that big target man up front. Does that mean they're going to bring in someone on the wings with a bit more speed and pace, like they have done in the past? Maybe, because I just, it's a very. The way the club operates and the way that they play on the pitch, because NDI has obviously got that really bad injury a few months ago. They're going to have to bring in more depth, but it's not a bad option. 35 million, was it around about?
Yeah, 32 million euros plus bonuses as well.
It's not bad.
Euros as well. So at the end of the day, new stadium as well, mate. But I think it's like with Everton, I think they've not got a lot of money, obviously with the financial constraints, but I think any money they do spend, it needs to be spot on. And I think time will tell, as we've already said. So quickly move on to the next and the final, obviously Premier League. A little bit of news as well in terms of transfers. Obviously Chelsea have been monitoring Ethan Nwaneri's situation at Arsenal. Chelsea have been trying to sign him in his previous deal back in 2023. There's also now, with just 1 year left on that contract, we've talked over an extension yet to bear fruits for the forwards as well. Arsenal are optimistic at this moment in time that the deal will be reached. Chelsea are, and obviously that's coming from The Athletic as well. And obviously Chelsea, and it goes on to it in the same article from The Athletic, go on to add Chelsea also admires of Aston Villa's Morgan Rogers as well. But Nwaneri, Lewis, obviously a very talented young player coming through at Arsenal. Obviously, similar with, I'd say, the situation Liverpool have with Elliott and Salah. When you've got Saka up front for Arsenal, it's extremely difficult for him to break into that Arsenal side. And a player as young as Nwaneri is, he needs to be playing football. Do you think this is the right deal for him, possibly going to Chelsea, or?
I mean, it's more of a basket case at Chelsea than it is Arsenal.
Yeah,
and they've just signed Delap. I mean, but then again, I suppose if Madueke is going the other way, there's always that chance of game time. And we've seen Cole Palmer now has become the standard of what happens when you leave a big club, go to another team, go out on your own and exceed. Yeah. So maybe that's on his mind. Nwaneri, though, there's a talent there. He's 18 years old last season. And the thing about him as well, he got 4 goals in the Premier League last season, which isn't, exceptional. But you've got to consider he scored against Forest, he scored against Brighton, he scored against City, he scored against Ipswich. They're big games to be scoring in. He also scored twice in the Champions League, back-to-back matches. PSV, I think, was one, and Girona, I want to say. Can't remember off the top of my head. There's a good player there. If he's not feeling like he's going to get the game time, which a lot of young attackers seem to have at Arsenal, Nketiah was another one, Reece Nelson, Chuba Akpom, Yaya Sanogo. Like, there's been a long history of Arsenal players who are young lads who are given all this promise and hype of, you're going to be a first teamer. Maybe he doesn't see it. Maybe he's not happy at Arsenal. Maybe, like you said, Bukayo Saka's there. He's having to wait till other players are injured. Going to Chelsea is an odd one. But you're going to get game time because they've shown that they're not afraid to play the youngsters. There's a lot of different options that he could play in, the way that Maresca operates. Maybe he needs him on the left, maybe he needs him on the right. Delap and João Pedro in the middle probably nullifies any chance of you playing there, but Madueke is potentially leaving. Obviously, Sterling's going to be... there's a lot of positions opening up out wide, so maybe it does work for him. Does anyone think that 1 year he's saying go to Chelsea... Is that the right move for him? Or would you be trying to move to a bit of a lower down sort of opposition, maybe a Crystal Palace or so? Maybe there's another team that you consider him going to. I just think if you're going Chelsea, it can go one or two ways. It's either going to be knocked out the park or he's going to struggle. And I think he may... There's a talent player that I think he'll go on to succeed. He's only 18. Let's not forget.
So, plenty of time to develop, mate. As you alluded to, Chelsea, one of the youngest sides, if not the youngest, in the Premier League as well. And the fact that Maresca, somehow, as you said, it was a bit of a circus prior to him coming into the football club. Sackings of the board and changing managers. And obviously, literally, you could field about 5 start 11s, as we know anyway, selling hotels and selling whatever Todd Bowley wants, playing a formation of 5-7-7 or whatever he wants to play as well. So it's it's going to be one of them Reds. Will 1 year he go to Chelsea? Time will tell as well. But it's usually as Lewis has said, a very talented player anyway. And wherever he goes, I think the main thing for him is he gets game time as well. But that concludes the Premier League section as well, and we'll move swiftly over to Europe, and of course a couple of transfer news stories happening in the Saudi Pro League as well. 1 second there, Chaz. So I think the first one, as we alluded to, Lewis, obviously,
I mean, the main one of Saudi, like Victor Osimhen is a really big one who does continuously get linked to Saudi. I'll just see if I can get the article up really quick for everyone. But the thing is, I think people now are clicking on to Saudi. People are clicking on. Go on, man. You've got the agenda.
Sorry. Yeah, it's only obviously Napoli with Galatasaray with Victor Osimhen. The new proposal after 60 million has been turned down. The agreement with Osimhen is in place until 2023, but Napoli wants in excess of 60 million euros. Also, better paid payment terms as well. So, in terms of Galatasaray will approach, it's come from Fabrizio Romano as well. 60 million kind of links with obviously the reports that we said at the top of the show as well, with Nunez possibly going in the other direction. I think both deals will very much hinge on each other, but he's made a name for himself in Galatasaray, and I think he's done extremely well. And you look at Turkish football over the last couple of weeks, obviously Leroy Sané moving in that direction as well, and it's I think he'll do really well. And for me personally, I hope he goes to Galatasaray and just gets the opportunity to play games of football, really, because he's a lad with a lot of potential, a lot of goals, really, and he's a good lad as well. But do you think 60 odd million is the right price? It's just a matter of bargaining between both clubs, do you think?
Yeah, this is a sort of... I think this deal is more being held up by Osimhen more so than it is the club. From what I've understood, from what I've read, he's asking for around 250k a week flat, and that's not even including bonuses or anything like that. There is a very talented player in Osimhen, but there is also an attitude of someone who, if he doesn't like something, he'll be very vocal about it. We saw what he did when he was on the international team with the Nigerian national team, and he was doing a live stream criticising the manager at the time. That's not something that a lot of clubs are going to be interested in. If he goes back to Galatasaray, if he does what he did last season, where he scored 26 goals in 30 matches, he's getting put up for even bigger moves. There's a very talented player there. I don't know if the Turkish league is somewhere that Osimhen should be going, because there is a very, very talented player there. He's terrific on the ball. He's great at receiving passes. Like, he's so good on the turn. It's just attitude problems. He feels like what would have happened if Balotelli had followed through on his ability and he'd actually stuck with it. Osimhen's not someone who I would consider for Liverpool. He never has been. For Galatasaray, if they can get him, you're getting one of the highest level finishes in Europe. It's going to cost you a fortune. So I don't know. It's a very mixed one. he could easily go to another European team. He could come to the Premier League and he'd do great. Do Arsenal not need someone like that who is not a guarantee, but I'd say Osimhen has a better track record than Gyökeres. Yeah, it's just a weird one. I just see him going. I'd rather see him go somewhere else, but if he goes to Galatasaray, best of luck to him.
Yeah, we'll quickly rattle through this anyway before we get kicked off. I do apologise, Lewis. I'm frustrated for you as well, but this will be getting sorted for the next episode. My computer might be in the garden anyway, but we'll try and sort that out anyway. Right, so spot on, mate. Obviously, Osimhen will he be going to Galatasaray? Time will tell. What I concur with Lewis. It'd be good to see him in Europe at a big European club if he can get that, but it just depends who can do the best deal with Napoli as well. Quickly moving on to the news about Luis Diaz as well. I think we kind of touched on it, but we'll go over it again because it's obviously Barcelona. Deco's top priority for Barcelona is Luis Diaz. Some levels below Diaz on Barcelona's wish list is Marcus Rashford. For 28-year-old is the Catalans is on the Catalonia's radar as well, but a move seems imminent as they prioritize. It doesn't seem imminent as they prioritize Luis Diaz. We've mentioned Luis Diaz. If they can't get that deal over the line, Barca, could you foresee a good positive move for Rashford going to Barca? Do you think he'll do well if he did get that move?
Yeah, I think he'd do. Go on, sorry.
I was going to say it's going to be difficult to nudge out Rafinha, by the way, as well. There's no chance of him getting ahead of Rafinha. So,
I mean, if he's happy being a backup, but maybe because Diaz and Rashford, we've seen that they are capable of playing through the middle, and Lewandowski is not getting any younger. They do need to look at bringing in options. So maybe that's the thought process. Maybe it's we want someone who can play out wide, but is capable of drifting in as number 9. I don't know. But if you're going for Diaz and Rashford's going to cost you more money, higher wages. He's worse than Diaz. Diaz is rightfully so their number 1 choice. And he does feel like someone who would absolutely thrive at Barcelona in La Liga. He just feels like a La Liga player, Diaz, the way he plays, the way he's great at getting in behind, good on the ball, great at having a go at people one-on-one. Rashford does not feel like that. He can do it. We saw it for Villa last season against PSG in the Champions League. He was very, very good in that match in particular. He just doesn't feel like a Barcelona player to me. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's bias. I don't know. But he would do well, but he just doesn't seem to... It just doesn't feel right to me.
Yeah, so time will tell. I tell you, be a very lucky boy, Marcus Rashford. I tell you, he's got some very good moves. I think he's done really well. I think we'd all love to move to Barca. Nice sunny weather and all that, but I'd agree, boys. It would be an interesting move, Marcus. He's still quite young as well, though, Lewis and Chas.
Yeah.
Like, he obviously, based onto the scene in very early age, scored against Liverpool, as we all sadly remember that game anyway. But you look at the amount of minutes he's played as a player, he's vastly surpassed someone at the age of 35 years old, like a Lewandowski. Yeah. It's ridiculous. But time will tell. If they can't get Luis Diaz, Barcelona look like they might be going to get Marcus Rashford as well. So quickly moving on, Christopher Nkunku is again a target for Bayern Munich. The German champions first expressed an interest in the French forward back in the transfer window of 2024, but have failed to land a succession of transfer targets this summer, including no other than our Florian Wirtz and Nico Williams as well. Bit of a mad transfer, as we've said with Chelsea. Bit of a madness football club over the last couple of seasons anyway. Decimated with injuries, the Frenchman. Obviously, attacking midfielder, can play in the false 9 as well. Rose to prominence in the Bundesliga. I think he holds one of the records for, obviously, the most Bundesliga player of the seasons. Christopher Nkunku, prior to his move to Chelsea. Big money move. Hasn't worked out at Chelsea. But as we know, that doesn't mean if you move to Chelsea and it doesn't work out, i.e. Salah going from the Italian league to Liverpool and being the sensation that he has been, mate. But could you foresee this deal happening? Obviously, this is coming from The Athletic as well, this story. Do you think a move back to the Bundesliga would be a good move for Christopher Nkunku?
Yeah, definitely. To go to Bayern as well would be, they've just lost Muller. They want someone who's very versatile up top, someone who's good on the ball. And to be fair to Nkunku, when he does play in the Premier League, yeah, he's been poor the past year, but a lot of players have been for Chelsea. We've seen that. He is good on the ball. It was when they played, was it Forest last season, and he came off the bench, he got a goal against them. There's a good player there, and we saw it with Timo Werner. He leaves RB Leipzig, goes to Chelsea, goes back to RB Leipzig, has a great purple patch, ends up going back to Tottenham. Nkunku could have that kind of play, that kind of flourish again. He could go back to that standard. That season he had, that last season, he got 16 goals, 6 assists for RB Leipzig in the Bundesliga. Nkunku is not a bad player. He suffers from like what Nunez has got, whereby they're a good player, they're just in the wrong system. He's a good player, but he's in the wrong club. And you know, Nkunku at Bayern, I think he could do very well. He feels like he's suited to the Bundesliga. He's a very quick, technical player, good finisher of the ball, good in the air. Yeah, I think Vincent Kompany could get something out of him.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Obviously, he's getting back on back end of his career now, but I think if he can, as you alluded to, establish himself back in the Bundesliga, I think he'll get back to business, really. Yeah. Final two stories we'll quickly round off as well. Obviously, Inter Miami, extremely confident. It's obviously going to the MLS as well. Now, confident that Messi will renew his contract and lead the league club to Freedom Park Stadium, in obviously change a new stadium into Miami as well. They're moving in 2026 as well. The Argentinian led is a lead target for Al Hilal. The Saudi Pro League pursuit of the 38-year-old is long-standing, but Inter Miami hope to announce the fresh deal anytime now as well. Leo Messi, he's lit up a generation for every football fan as well. And even at the age of 38, he could probably nutmeg absolutely everyone in world football as well and still do a job. It's interesting what they're building in it. And into Miami, David Beckham, and I think there was a report today as well. Obviously, the Argentinian midfielder Saul, not Saul, the other lad. I completely forgot his name anyway. Do apologise, but do you think a contract extension into Miami will be happening for you, Lewis? Do you think that's a good move, or do you think he might go to the Saudi Pro League?
Is it Rodrigo De Paul?
Rodrigo De Paul.
Argentinian.
Yeah, he's being linked with a move there. So they are getting the band back together, aren't they, in that club? So
I can see him staying into Miami. I obviously going to Saudi, you're going to get the big money deal, but he seems settled. David Beckham's said himself, he's building a project. We saw what happened when he went there, and he was like the first big name that they brought in to increase the notoriety, the visibility of the league, to get the brand deals, etc. We then saw Lampard go, and Gerrard, and we saw like Javier Hernandez and all these big players go, Ibrahimovic, etc. Alessandro Nesta went there at one point. That's how big it got. Messi, to me, just seems settled. They're giving him what he wants. He scored 2 goals the other day in that league. He's still getting what he wants. Game time, he's still contributing to goals. I don't see him going to Saudi. I would love to see the Ronaldo Messi thing. I think the eyes on that product would be incredible. Yeah, it could happen one day, but for the moment, I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, that's one thing we've never got, Lewis, in chat. Could you imagine Messi and Ronaldo in the same team? I think everyone makes out that they're not like best mates. It wouldn't make any financial sense because both of them are absolutely multi-billionaires by this point anyway. Yeah. No club in world football could ever afford that. But there's one team, it's possibly maybe the Saudi Pro League. But yeah, interesting though, and Reds, obviously. But what a player Leo Messi was. And the final one, this is where it tie in very much. Obviously, tomorrow we are expecting in the French league a decision to be made on Olympique Lyonnais. Lyon, the decision will be fully made on whether they will be relegated to the second tier of French football or not. Reports obviously coming out of France this evening as well. And this is where we kind of tie it into Fofana as well, who is not just being linked with Liverpool, he's being...
Well, I mean, at this point, I think everyone's been linked to us. Fofana just seems to be getting passed around left, right, and centre. He's like a joint. I I don't know. Leon are a very. It's a bit of a basket case, Leon, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely madness, mate. Like my computer, or it's absolutely madness. What I was going to say before the computer interrupted me, or StreamYard, do you think, obviously, Barcola, Paris Saint-Germain have helped recently, Barcola, with that transfer. It's helped Leon financially as well. That's balanced their books a bit more better. Possibly, if they do get sanctions, do you expect a mass exodus of a lot of the top talent in Leon? And ideally, obviously, Fofana possibly moving as well.
Yeah, there will be a good, and I don't think it's going to be necessarily be a case of the players are like, nah, bung this, I want to go somewhere else. I think it'll just be a case of they have to. And we've seen it with teams in the past. Luton have just gone down. They've lost a large portion of their players because they've suffered back-to-back relegations. There's a large number of teams who have been knocked down the divisions. They lose all their top talents and they have to work their way back up. Rangers is the prime example of it. And I don't think a lot of players wanted to leave. I think it's just a case of, look, we can get good money for these. We've got to get back to where we were. We can sign other people, sell them on. There's going to be a lot of cutthroat deals for the Lyon players. And sadly, that's the way football goes. If they haven't financially budgeted themselves well, if they've been done by whatever rules they've been done by, you can't expect the vultures not to circle and come in for your best players. So I expect a big number of those players, especially Fofana, to be leaving, because he was linked to Forest, wasn't he? Wasn't he in discussions with them or something?
Yeah, Forest, and obviously with us as well in recent weeks.
Yeah.
So very talented, 20 odd years old, isn't he? So I think whatever happens with Chiesa and some of our players, I think I've seen clips. Not going to sit here and say I've watched every game in League On, but I've seen clips, and he looks very agile. I think he was on record over the last couple of seasons. He's obviously got a big admiration for Sadio Mane and Salah as well. He's been on record of speaking about them as well, mate. But yeah, so Reds, keep an eye on that over the next 24 hours. We will be getting an announcement on that, and possibly if there is an opportunity to improve on and Liverpool see an opportunity in the market, and other teams in Europe might move through for Malik Fofana as well. But that concludes tonight's show as well.
That concludes tonight's show. I'm going to be Jack. Yeah, it's been a very weird week, everyone. I understand that we maybe shouldn't be, it's difficult talking about transfers and people coming and going and all this stuff. But yeah, it's. I'm sure Jack will take over and explain just how much it means that everyone's sort of stuck by everyone during this whole hiatus for the past few days, so to speak.
Yeah, 100%. I do apologise for anyone tuning in as well. Yeah, as Lewis has just said there, the most important message from tonight's episode, and will continue to be so over the next couple of weeks as well, we'll be thinking of Andre's family, Diogo's family as well, everyone involved. Obviously, I'm happy that I've spoke to Lewis, first time I've actually spoke on, obviously, the Diogo Jota. I think over the next couple of days, Liverpool will be seeing a bit more of the media in terms of more interviews with Arnold and more statements as well. But I think from the Liverpool family, we're all getting behind Diogo and his family and everyone associated as well. You'll never walk alone has never been as true as it has through every difficult moment this football club's been through, and the family are going through as well. But Lewis, thank you for joining me this evening, mate. And Reds, look after yourself, look after one another as well, most importantly, of the news we've had this week as well. But Diogo and everyone associated with his family as well, you'll never walk alone, and we'll get through this together as well, and we're here for every single one of you as well. But Reds, that has been an episode of the Transfer Show on the 8th of July, and Reds, look after yourself, and we'll see you soon.